What's up, folks? In this video, I wanted to talk about becoming psychologically resilient, dealing with stress and negative emotions, and generally feeling good and mentally stable. So, make sure to watch this one till the end. It could have a huge impact on your life. All right, let's get into it. The number one technique for psychological resilience is probably the most common and recommended by therapists worldwide. It's called being present, literally being here and now. We get thrown off track big time by constantly thinking about the future or dwelling on the past. Here's the deal with fear. Why does someone start feeling anxious, worried, scared? Some people get shortness of breath, heart palpitations, the shakes, and so on. Why does this happen? Because they're way too afraid of the future. All phobias stem from massively overestimating future negative consequences. Like you see a spider and subconsciously think, what if it bites me? What if it eats me? What if it infects me? Or someone's about to skydive, their heart is racing, they haven't even jumped yet, they're not even on the plane, and it's still an hour away, but they're already freaking out. Why? Because they're obsessing over the future, thinking, what if the parachute fails? What if it doesn't open? What if it has a hole? What if? Again, that whole deal. The main principle of psychological stability and balance is being present, feeling only the emotions warranted by the here and now, and not drifting too far into the past, because the past always seems better, more romantic and rosy. Easier said than done, of course. Mastering the art of being present takes practice. So anytime you feel a bit thrown off, emotionally shaken, and experiencing unwanted emotions, stop thinking about the future, potential consequences, or the past. Ground yourself in where you are and start being present. Focus on what you're doing right now, the chair you're sitting on, the room around you, the food you're eating. Feel those present emotions. It seems simple, but trust me, it's one of the most powerful psychotherapeutic exercises out there. It really works, and it's universally recommended. I practice this myself, and it's changed my life tremendously. By the way, friends, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, make sure to do so and hit that bell too. Don't miss my new uploads. The next principle of psychological stability is the ability to accept. Accept any difficulties, any injustices, because life is unfair, the world is unfair. Don't expect a savior to come. Don't expect everything to be okay no matter what. That's simply not a given. There's so much injustice in the world and we'll inevitably face it. How to react. Accept things as they are. Let me tell you about one fear I had in my early youth, the fear of aging, of getting old. I know very well that many people share this fear. What if I grow old? What if I'm no longer young, healthy, attractive, cheerful, energetic, and life will be over, replaced by grayness, misery, and so on? But really, it's just a fear with no real basis, because in adulthood, as you approach that age, you'll accept it if your head is on straight. You'll accept your new self as you are, and find new joys and approaches in that situation. It's not just some major life event like aging 20 years, no. Learn to accept everyday things, especially the things you can't influence or objectively can't change. An enormous amount of suffering actually revolves around, you know what? People suffering over things they can't affect. Take the principle of news, for example. Do you know what the deal is with news? There's no such thing as good news, remember that? All news is always bad news. Because who's going to report on a good news story? No journalist will do that, because a good news story won't get popular, won't get clicks, won't get engagement or discussion. So notice, practically all news is always bad news. But why do people actually start feeling stressed after reading the news? They may not even realize it, but subconsciously, the stress is real, because the news is always bad, and we can't objectively affect it. Somewhere, a horrific disaster happened, some terrible event, something in politics, and so on. But we get frustrated because we care, yet we're powerless. So just learn to accept things as they are and live in the present. The next principle is your environment. Your environment again. You can't even imagine how heavily it influences us on a subconscious level. If you surround yourself with very anxious, mentally unstable people, there's about a 0% chance you'll stay psychologically stable too. No, you'll become just like them. Just notice how often your acquaintances, friends, close ones get worked up over something, get all riled up and emotional, infecting you with their emotions. If you genuinely see this happening often, you may need to spend less time with such people if it's an issue for you. If it's not, then fine. That's why it's important to know how to interact with people, make new connections, get to know new folks, and know how to communicate. The next point, as strange as it may sound, is sleep. A bit mundane, but crucially important. So many people suffer from lack of sleep. I get it, you have to get up early for work or school or whatever, chronic sleep deprivation, and it leads to real mental destabilization. We just don't pay attention to it, but if you're even just 1 hour sleep deprived, you get more irritable. By the way, friends, how's your sleep situation? I'll admit I used to have serious issues, just couldn't establish a normal sleep pattern. Lately, I've more or less normalized it. The next point is bad habits. This includes alcohol and, God forbid, anything harder. Why do people actually become alcoholics? Well, there are physiological reasons, because the enzyme responsible for alcohol metabolism starts getting overproduced in alcoholics, so they genuinely crave alcohol more on a physical level. But there's also a huge psychological component. People drink because whenever something bad happens, they develop the habit of, I can escape reality and get wasted. Stressed again? No worries, I'll come home tonight. Get drunk again? Fiend, I'll just check out of reality. And a conditioned reflex gets reinforced. As a result, the person never actually solves any life or psychological issues. They're just artificially suppressing the symptoms by taking their next fix of the bad habit. And the only way is for things to unravel even more. The next technique is humor. Humor is such a convenient tool, and you can use it to battle negative emotions. You know what the best way to conquer fear is? You know what it is? Mocking the fear. Humor is just such a universal instrument of devaluation, and you can use it to devalue any negative experiences you're having. You're hung up on something, can't get it out of your head no matter what? Joke about it. Mock that very issue. It's a universal way to relieve tension. I highly recommend humor. You know, if you show someone a 200 milliliters glass filled with 100 milliliters of water, the optimist will say the glass is half full. The pessimist will say the glass is half empty. As for me, the realist, I'd probably start by just stating that the 200 milliliters glass contains 100 milliliters of water. And yes, that wouldn't be considered either a positive or negative assessment. But I'd do it deliberately to avoid setting any particular expectation. So really, it's far better and more productive to be a cautious, level-headed optimist. Not a rose-tinted optimist, not an optimist with inflated expectations or illusions, no. But a healthy, firmly grounded optimist. You know, I'd really wish for everyone to attain the skill of self-mastery, learning to control your emotions, to rein yourself in when needed, or conversely, to give yourself a kick when required. In other words, to be the master of your own emotions. It's a genuinely awesome skill. I've studied this topic extensively myself and experimented with many different approaches, or you could call it your life's purpose, the set of values you live by, the principles you adhere to. I truly believe everyone should have a set of principles and values that they uphold and follow, not necessarily imposed by others, not necessarily something read verbatim like commandments. You can absolutely develop your own principles. They need to be there. I know this from experience because anytime you feel something is off, something isn't working out, you're being undervalued or whatever, you always know you have that inner core, that set of principles that will keep you motivated, that will always give you hope and fuel you from within. No matter what external circumstances try to shake you, your inner core will always keep you stable. And you know, people love to ponder the meaning of life. Personally, I've concluded that the meaning of life is to live your life with purpose. Friends, I have a question for you today. Be sure to comment whether you consider yourself more of an optimist, pessimist, or realist. Share your thoughts.